What's up, everybody, and thank you for listening to Mastering the Mindset. My name is Dariusdotch, and I'm an actor, hip-hop artist, and fitness and life coach. And I'm here to personally help you train and improve your mindset so that you can, 1, become the best version of yourself mentally, and 2, gain focus and motivation to be able to take action and achieve the success in life that you want and deserve. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to my channel, and at the end of this episode, if you liked it, please share it with a friend or loved one or someone who would benefit from hearing this message. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm ready to go on this journey with you, and that journey begins now. So today is going to be pretty straightforward. I'm going to give you 4 steps to learn anything you want to learn faster and get it locked in your head better than you've been doing in the past. And this could be for a few different reasons. Maybe you want to learn something new, like a new passion you have or a new subject you love. Maybe it's complex and you want to understand it better. So something that's new. It could be to deepen your knowledge in something you already know, or it could be to help you study for something like an exam, or to help you prepare for something, whether it's for a presentation, for work, or for public speaking. Maybe you're nervous about it and you know that preparation is what makes that nervousness go down. So let's jump right in it. 4 steps to help you learn anything faster. And these steps are from a man named Richard Feynman. And Richard Feynman won the Nobel Prize for quantum electrodynamics in 1965. So a very, very smart man. And he's famous for taking really extremely complex topics and getting almost anybody to understand. And on top of that, he was known for being able to draw out on pen and paper in photos how the math works for subatomic particles, which makes my head hurt just thinking about what that even means. But to be able to take something that's that damn complex and be able to write it down on pen and paper, and not by writing down the numbers, but by drawing it out so people can understand the math and making it as dumbed down as possible so people can understand, shows just how smart this man was. So let's take a look at these 4 steps he came up with. Number 1, pick a topic and try to get as much of it in your brain. Study it, whatever it is. Get as much knowledge about it as you can. Could be anything. Could be quantum physics. Could be, tigers or the birthing process. Anything you don't understand and you want to know it better. Anything you want to learn. Or maybe you're in college and you have to learn about organic chemistry or something like that. Or like for me, having a podcast about the mindset. I have to learn a lot about the brain and how the brain works and how our thoughts affect our lives. So whatever it may be. So number 1, it's really obvious, right? Take it, study it, learn as much about it as possible. And another really obvious element to this point that we all should be doing is to write things down. Write it out on pen and paper. Not type it out, not swiping on your phone or typing on your phone. You literally write it down. Why? Because there's proof that when you write it out, you get new neurosynaptic connections, which make it deeper into your mind and easier to remember. Yes, it probably takes longer and is slower, but because there's more intention into it, it makes it that much easier to remember. The more intention that goes into it, the better it is for remembering. If I type something out real quick, I can type a sentence in a few seconds, right? But when I write it down, it takes more time, more intention. Again, really obvious, but true. So that's number 1. Step number 2 is to write it down and explain it out loud to somebody. And this is a really important one. You can write it down on whatever, paper, a napkin, a dry erase board, whatever it is. But act as if you're actually teaching and explaining it to somebody. And if you don't have anybody around you at the moment, then you literally can explain it out loud to yourself. The process of teaching is one of the most important parts. And you probably heard this before, but the best way to learn something is to teach it. And what happens is you create new neural pathways in your brain. So let's say you're learning something. Let's say I'm watching a lecture or a presentation. That's called passive learning. which turns out to be the worst way of learning. How ironic. But being spoken at, to sit back and listen, that's the worst way to learn. You don't have to create any new connections in your brain in order to learn that way. But when you physically start to move your body, you move your limbs, move your lips, you physically say the things and you hear yourself saying it, you're turning something passive into something active. And this is where new pathways in your brain are created. And this could cause some frustration. Think about this for a second. Have you ever been learning something and let's say you're writing it down or even you're even explaining it to somebody else, right? There could be this frustration, and tell me if you ever felt this before, right? You're writing it down or explaining it and it made sense in your head. You understood it in that moment, but you go to write it down or explain it and you can't quite put the words together, right? You know what you want to say, but you just can't. It's just like, how do I say this? How do I put these words together? And there's this slight frustration. That ever happened to you? And you're like, damn it, I had it, but I just can't explain it right now. And that frustration is actually a good thing. What's up, what's up, what's up? I want to take a quick moment to say thank you so much for listening to this episode and to also let you know that this podcast is 100% donation driven, which means it's completely funded by you, the listener. So if you like the content I have to offer, I would love it if you can make a donation and you get to pick the amount. I left links in the description of the video as well as my homepage. You can choose which way benefits you the best to donate. And if you need more options, please feel free to email me at dariusdotch@gmail.com. That's DARIUSDOTCH@gmail.com. Again, thank you so much for being here and let's get back to it. So scientists have found that when your brain goes through neuroplasticity, wow, big word. When your brain goes through neuroplasticity, which means that your brain is actually physically changing itself, it releases something called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine comes from the stress mechanism of your brain, the part of your brain that causes stress. That's where it comes from. So the feeling you're feeling when you learn something new and you're trying to get it into your brain and then trying to teach, that moment when you get that frustration, when you can't quite put those words together, even though it just made sense in your brain, that frustration is a really good thing because that is showing you that your brain is releasing acetylcholine, which means that your brain is changing itself. You're learning. So if you ever feel that feeling, just know your brain is changing. You have to fight through that feeling. So fight through it, lean into it. And that's number 2. Explain it, teach it out loud. And the next really important step, step 3, is as you're teaching it, those hard parts, the moments you're having a little trouble with, take mental and physical notes on those. It's important to understand the parts you don't understand as much. Those areas where your knowledge isn't as deep as it should be on that subject. And take those notes and write them out and repeat these steps. Explain it or teach it out loud and see what the problem areas are. And you'll more than likely have a better understanding of those problem areas this way. Your brain will make those new connections, whatever those parts are. Let's say you're teaching somebody how to sync their laptop with their cell phone and you forgot what the icon is on the laptop to be able to sync it. Take note of that you didn't know where it was. Write down how to get to that area on the screen. And the next time you go to show somebody how to do it, you'll know exactly how to find that icon. And yes, that was a simple example, but I purposely chose that example to be able to show you how the brain works with that step. So hopefully that made sense. So that's number 3. Take notes of those problem areas and work on it and teach it, explain it again out loud. And the final step, number 4, when you're done, go back and ask yourself, can I explain this more simply? Can I be more concise? Can I be more efficient in my process of explaining this? And here's the key. Simple language is one of the keys of mastering something. Even Einstein says so. He says, if you can't explain something simply, you don't know it well enough. So, can I take this subject and explain it to a 10-year-old? Can I explain this to a 10-year-old? And this is a really important key. What happens is a lot of times when people try to overcome their lack of knowledge or their own egos, they kind of muddy the waters a little bit and they start using big words. And at this point, I question, are you talking and using these big words for them, or are they for yourself? Is the manner in which you're expounding on this particular matter the most propitious for them? Or are these words for you? Can you use the simplest words that any human can understand, and put thought and detail into it and still get the point across in an efficient way? And by no means am I saying that you don't have to talk with intellect. A lot of conversations require your vocabulary to be top-notch, right? But I'm only talking about teaching something and teaching it concisely. How can you explain it to a 10-year-old? And that's number 4. Figure out how to be concise. And those are the steps. That's Richard Feynman's process. So step number 1, pick the topic and try and get as much of it in your brain as you can. Number 2, write it down. Then teach it out loud. 3, pay attention to those problem areas, the areas that you're not as strong on, and focus on learning it better, then teaching it again. And number 4, get concise. Figure out how to explain it as efficiently as possible. So, if you have some things that you need to learn to deepen your knowledge on, this is a process for you to adapt. This will make you be able to learn it faster. This will make you be able to retain it better. So that's what I got for you today. If you like this episode, please share it with somebody that can benefit from this, somebody who is a friend or a family member, somebody who has goals and is trying to improve their lives. So thank you again, and let's get it in.